loves me.
It's true. It's true. She's a happy cat.
So, I have a different chair.
Well, yes.
I mean, it's not a new chair.
Not to us. We've had it forever.
Yeah, and I don't know. I sat in it and I was like, oh, my chair.
That's an awesome chair. It's like a 73 Lincoln Continental, that kind of green Naugahyde. But also, no, I think a Lincoln's there. I was thinking maybe Cadillac. I was like, no, that thing's a Lincoln. But it's this big square thing, and it was at this junk shop in just up the way from Newport, Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. Man, that was a great junk shop. Man, I loved that junk shop. It was awesome. But I walked in, and I saw that thing. I was like, my God, it's ugly. And then I sat down in it, and it was like, it's so perfectly ergonomically formed. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. I've owned it for 20 years.
I don't know.
I bought it on the Cape.
I know.
Not on the Cape, down on Rhode Island, right on the border. I don't know. I've had it a long time. We're going to get that recovered one of these days. Mark my words.
Yes, we will.
Mark my words.
How am I going to get my phone?
What phone?
What? I don't want to disturb the cat.
Oh, you did it. You
There
did
we
it.
Go. You need to. Oh, I know. I'm so sorry. No, don't leave.
Let's wrist check while they're settling. Well, it's wrist check time.
Yay.
Like it or not.
Oh, what? Am I going first?
Why not?
Or are they going to, marvel at our beautiful rocks?
They are beautiful rocks. I would like to point out again that this stuff was literally just gravel from our backyard. We did choose the pieces, but we would have gotten results like this even if we just taken rocks and dumped them into the hopper. Yeah, some of these, I mean, they're really beautiful. Literally, just gravel. It's amazing stuff. Any case,
I will go first. So, I'm wearing my Rolex again. The reason why I stopped wearing it, that's funny. I stopped wearing it because, I don't know, I don't wear it for a few days, and then it's not a quick set, so it'll get stuck on the 3rd or whatever, and then it's the 10th, and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to have to wind forever, so that's why I don't always wear it.
There you go. It is a lovely piece, though. Mm-hmm. Makes me remember my old 5513 that I built like that one out of parts and pieces. That was a great watch. I am wearing a 6117 8000 on what is the correct Stellux bracelet. You don't see these very often. It's a cool watch. I've been fighting this watch for years. Like literal years I've been fighting this watch, and I finally figured out what the problem was, and I just feel silly. So now it's actually fine. And it's just such a cool little piece. Nice, it's just nice balance. It's like dress wash size, but it looks really kind of, it looks kind of sporty. I have another one. Wait, where did it go?
Wow, you found it right away.
I did. That's because I just serviced it. So from the same movement, from the same basic family, 6106, look at that thing. It's a blue crayons. Isn't that cool? See? So they're kind of related. That's original loom. That's all the original loom. The dial text faded on me some when I was cleaning, and I'm a little bummed about that. The pip is missing because it just corroded away. That happens. But what's cool about these is that they're early enough that they have the 6105 style early slim case back with the 7 digits. Movement came up beautifully. It's a 6105B. I'm sorry, 6106B. You don't see those very often. It's running great. Anyway, so if I can figure out what to wear this on, maybe I'll wear this one today too. But in the meantime, there we go.
Things are better.
Has peace been achieved?
I don't know. Ask her.
I don't know. She looks pretty happy. She does. Okay, so what's going on?
Well, I grabbed my knitting, but I guess I can grab the questions.
Well, yeah, because I would have to use my phone.
That wouldn't work.
No, and that wouldn't work at all. It wouldn't work for everybody.
Okay, so since we haven't done this in a while, what?
I did want to say one. Well, no, that'd be a long story. I'll just make a separate little video bit.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
Anyway, So we haven't done this in a while, and there's going to be lots of questions. So one of two things is going to happen. It'll be a two-parter, or we'll both just stop.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I will also do my best to be concise. I'm getting some hair.
Yep. Okay. The 6139 video from Evan Boyer. That serial number is cool. Do offbeat serial numbers generally command premiums?
Yeah, the serial number in question, people, was it was a 6139 6005, a gold pogue, but not a true pogue. But its serial number was 666404. So I would joke that it meant devil not found. And then, but also I called it the holy pogue. But it wouldn't make it any worth more to anybody else. It only makes it interesting to me because I think it's funny. I mean, you could probably maybe, if you found like one, or like if you found one that was like all zeros or all ones, you couldn't get all zeros. You could get all zeros and one. If you got all zeros,
somebody went to work drunk that day.
Yeah, that would be something. But yeah, if you get a run, like a run of numbers 77777, seven's lucky number, you get a whole run of sevens. Maybe somebody'd be motivated for that, but it's not like I don't think there's any other interesting serials that I can think of. Except the only other serial that's not a specific serial number. But speaking of the true pogue, his serial number was September 71, so 19. Which weird is actually, I don't see a lot of gold dials with 19.
Really?
Yeah, I really, really don't. I don't even see a lot of 6139.
Did you see them more in the past?
I saw the spread of true pogue numbers. I've seen lots of March 71. I've seen a few of February 71. The really early ones are a transition piece, and they actually have A movements, but with a one-piece sweep. You see a lot of them in July, if I remember correctly, a good amount in May. I rarely see them in June. I don't know why. That's interesting.
New mystery for him to research.
I don't know. I wonder, is there going to be a wave? At a certain point through the year, they're going to say, okay, these watches are selling. So are we going to order more of this one, or are we cutting it out before, we're going to go with the new, calendar year and do something else? Maybe the serial number progressions could tell us that. But I tell you, I owned way, way back when we were living at the old house, right when I was figuring out the whole true poke thing. Mine was also September 1971, and in fact, I think it was, I don't remember, it was a few hundred or if it was 1,000, it was like 1,200 units away, but it was really pretty close to Pogue Zone, and I think I sold it for $500. What are you gonna do?
Okay. From Speedy Paul, here I am watching 18 minutes after video put up, and guess what? It sold. Jesus.
It happens sometimes, man, the right watch. Or you have 6105, yesterday's 6105 that I put up. A couple people have asked on that for sale video. It's for this very watch. I was doing the for sale thing, and I grabbed the watch and I was looking at it. And I was just talking about the front and the dial and all that kind of stuff, and getting into that. And then I turned it over, and it had the dedication on it, and Brent Sapp. But I stopped, and I was like, and I think some people thought that I was feeling uneasy about the fact of the engraving being there. The fact of the engraving being there doesn't bother me personally. I sometimes like dedications.
Like Joe Buckles?
I do like Joe Buckles because it tells us a whole story. Joe Buckles' 16th birthday watch, 1976, I believe. He would have been born in 1960. Those things were expensive watches. So, you get a little hint of, Joe Buckles' 16th birthday and how jacked he was. Though I don't think he wore it a lot. He wore it some, but not a lot. Sometimes they all tell stories. But But some people, though, they don't like the caseback inscriptions, and it sort of hits the value. But I flipped this over, and I looked at it because I had kind of forgotten about it, because, again, I'm not really bothered by them, and a lot of times I like them. And I looked at it, and I'm like, I wonder what it was like going through, and I was looking at it, my brain just basically short-circuited, because I started thinking about the story of the guy, and was it for him? And then I started thinking about other things that, like, usually, like Joe Buckles, when you see a clear imprint like this, it is, like in the case of Joe Buckles, that was Mr. and Mrs. Buckles who had that thing engraved with his name on it. This is good enough for his underwear, it's good enough for his watch. And so I looked at it for a second, and I don't know, I just looked at it, and I'm like, was this was this a gift? Did his parents do this? Did he want it marked because he was in the military and they can do that at the PXs in some places? I was like, I wonder what happened to him. I wonder how long he wore it for.
What year is it from?
This is 1976,
Yes.
February 76. So I'm like, he wore it. He definitely wore it. He didn't beat it to death, but at all. But he wore it. It got some water inside, which damaged the dial in the hands. But I don't know. I just wondered about it. I'm like, it's just so odd. But anyway, I like dedications because one of the things that's the favorite thing for me in watches is finding uniqueness in something that's a mass-produced item, something that goes, literally wabi-sabi, something that makes the watch special and unique to itself. And so a couple people in that video said, well, if you don't like it, I'm sorry, and I just explained that, yeah, I do like it. You could just remove it.
Wouldn't you, risk destroying the caseback if you did that?
Yeah, the problem is that you can't, the stamps are in. If you want them to go away, you have to remove everything else around them. There's just no way to do it. And it saddens me a little bit that some people don't, not everybody has to like everything, but, that people have sort of given this perception about dedications not being interesting. And I do like them, because, I don't know, I think there's value in it. Just gives the watch a little life, a little bit of history. You knew where it went, where it's going, and you're just sort of part of its history as it rolls on. But it's true.
No, I know.
100% true. Honey, we have no idea who the lady was who bought that pair of lamps for her house. She went and ordered them, or she went and picked them out, or bought them, or something. We don't know a damn thing about her. If it said Agnes Falsworth written in pen on the bottom, maybe we could learn something about her, but no, they're just anonymized. This still has its history. Not all of it, but some of it.
Yeah.
And that to me is valuable. So that's the thing. I forgot that the thing was there. I flipped it over and my brain went squirt because I was thinking about a couple different things at once, and the dissonance probably short-circuited something. It's a nice watch.
Okay. Do you want me to do the next question?
Oh, sure.
From Todd S. I still have the gold late model 6005 that you did for me many years ago from your project drawer. It's fantastic.
Wow. If that was in my project drawer years ago, I can't imagine how beautiful it was. It's just crazy. In the early days of buying this stuff, if you got a watch that 6139, like any of the gold dials, and sometimes they'll have those little teeny tiny black marks on them, not even a lot, just a couple, guys be like, it's not worth anything, dial's ruined. It's like I think about those watches now, and they were exquisite, except for a couple patina marks because oxygen got through that top clear coat.
Your hair is like doing a thing.
Well,
But,
anyway, so let's get to it.
okay. This one just made me laugh. For the Ammonite video, Leon Dust Lance, your watch channel rocks. Ammonite kidding.
Oh my God.
That made me laugh.
That's funny. That's silly.
Okay, now the 7005 8052 video.
That's the poor man's.
Oh, okay. From Angry Gardener. Nicely done, Spencer. Amazing that a 50-year-old watch survived and only needed a light service in one part. Do you mark the inside of the case back to timestamp your work?
Yes, that's a sort of a watch thing. You want to say, I was here. And so yeah, I always mark the inside of the case back. I do it pretty consistently, consistent in everything except my handwriting, but the content is pretty consistent. But yeah, absolutely, I always mark it inside the case back, usually on an edge facing towards the middle. But most other watch people do that same thing. So it's rare for you to get. It's sort of a point of pride for watch people when they're doing this to get the engraving as small as possible. But then every time you run across, open up a case back, and it's like the guy signed it like John Hancock.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've seen it a few times. It's ridiculous.
What an era of watch, do you think?
70s, 80s. I see it more in like 6309 and 7002 divers that were serviced, that lived their lives in like Southeast Asia, Australasia, that kind of thing. But I don't know why.
Okay, from Donald K. Garman. That is the nicest one I have seen since at least 1976. If I remember correctly, the blue spots were sold in Saigon. My late brother bought one in 1972 at the PX.
What was that video?
The 7580-52.
Yeah, the blue spot. That's right. I was racking my brain about that. I think I've seen it once, but at least once before.
Okay.
But I'm talking like old house.
Oh.
When we were at the, I mean, it was a long time ago. Heck, it might even have been that first one because I had that 7580-52, except it was the much rarer blue dial, and I was like, oh, I have the rarer one. That's interesting because I didn't know anything at the time. That was actually the first watch movement I ever personally successfully built and started it running.
Yeah, I remember that.
I said, oh my God, honey, look, it's running.
I was watching TV.
Yep. And I was working at my bench, the bench that's in that place right now.
Yep. Okay, from Ayoy Buthayana, why don't you use brass tweezers?
I often forget they exist. Well, I really do. But
What's the benefit of one versus the other?
well, no. But the thing about brass is softer than steel.
Right.
So brass tweezers they won't scratch things as easily. I don't use them, frankly, because I kind of forget about them.
That's what you said.
So it's just, I suppose it's not a bad idea. I've gotten this far without them, but doesn't mean that I couldn't improve.
And
so
someone
I'll look
keeps-
into it.
keeps sneaking away with your tweezers, so.
Somebody is doing things at my watch bench they ought not to do.
Okay, this is the video for the watch sale. Nick Halverson, the one I find most interesting, the blue quartz, seems like it was overlooked in the video.
Well, the thing is, pardon me. The thing is, I actually just did a restoration of another 3/8, whatever 3 movement that it was. It's a real high-end quartz. One of Seiko's last, beautifully, beautifully made, high-end hand-built quartz watches from the 1970s, and they're exquisite. They have the stepper motor. In normal quartz watches, the stepper motor which is the impulse. It takes the magnetic impulse and turns one click every time. So normally it's just in there with the rest of the gears in the train. This baby, they went so far. It has its stepper motor is inside its own cartridge, essentially, with double Diashock settings, tiny ones. And that's a completely separate component. You can build that whole component separately away on the bench if you have somehow to hold the thing. But then the rest of the watch movement is just as beautiful. It has a mechanism for making sure that the second hand stopped on the second. That was one of Seiko's selling points. 1 tick per second, click, click, whatever. And so to ensure that, they used a jumper, but with a jumper is like a little catch spring, right? Click, 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 that kind of thing. But the end of it isn't a piece of metal. It's actually, it's basically a pallet fork jewel. So it has this jewel-tipped jumper going click, 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 and it's the whole assembly is just beautiful. It's a beautiful movement. But I looked at that blue one, and I'm like, I want to look at that movement a little more closely because I had done this work for a customer, and I was like, I haven't looked at mine in a long time. And so I also have to put a battery in it. And then I forgot about it. I actually saw it this afternoon.
Really?
Yeah, it was in my watch box.
Wow. I'm glad it was there.
Yeah, so it's a funky looking watch. The bracelet is really beaten up. It's incredibly frustrating because the watch head itself is actually in great shape. And it's fully serviced, and it has that weird new NOS disco ball crystal, cut glass crystal.
You can do it.
I'm parched is part of the problem. But the bracelet looks all hacked up, which it just bums me out because it's a Stellux too. But
oh God, that one Stellux that you showed me on that one watch.
Which one?
You were like, look at this, it's beautiful, and it was like, I don't know, silky, like beads type of.
Oh, do you remember what the watch was that it was on? Grains of rice?
No, it wasn't. It was a Stellux, and it's probably right in.
Anyway, wasn't I answering a question?
Yeah, you said something about Stellux, I think.
I enjoy Stellux.
Oh, jeez.
No, everything's fine. I want to get more in frame.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just. Oh, I know what you were talking about, the disco ball watch with the.
Oh, and so the thing is, I wanted a chance to look at my own, which I said, and then I forgot about it. I want to try to find. I want to find a much better looking bracelet that actually fits the watch head, because I think that bracelet is just takes too much away from that watch, and it makes it hard to look at it and see the unbelievable technology that's under the hood.
Is it that one?
Oh, that's a 7006,
But
8007.
the bracelet.
Oh, that beads of rice bracelet. Yes, he said that's the standard Seiko beads of rice.
No, there was a Stellux one. I don't know.
Oh no, they do have Stellux ones.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I learned something today.
That's a Stellux bracelet right there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Why don't you explain quickly for our viewers and not me, what's the deal with like Stellux? I thought that Seiko made their own bracelets, and so what is it?
Seiko made their own bracelets, a lot of them, but for higher end models, JDM models, or ones that were going to be sold in like Hong Kong or stuff like this, they would, or actually Australasia too. For some reason, the Australasian folks typically got the better bracelets. But anyway, so you could have a regular standard Seiko bracelet, your regular old Pogue H-link, folded H-link, and it's a perfectly wonderful, fine, serviceable bracelet. And in fact, I kind of prefer them because I think they're really comfortable. So that's the stock version, standard version. Now, JDM and other places, they get the Stellux version. The Stellux version is it's more heavier duty. It's heavier duty. It's a little thicker. It's more has more refinements, more character to it. A lot more usability. The interlinks are this lovely little sliding blocking pin.
Yeah, I could
diddly.
feel the difference when
Yeah.
you showed it to me. That's why I was like, ooh, and I never really like ooh about.
Yeah, Stellux is just. I mean, this is the correct bracelet for this. There were other bracelets that these had.
No, wait, I think it was that one.
Was it?
Yeah, was that one what you were wearing? I love that one.
Because look, solid link. See those solid oval links, and then hollow links in the middle. But they're beautifully finished. Stellux's quality is just great. Typically, when you find a Stellux bracelet that is the same model as kind of look as one that just regular Seiko has, it's going to be wildly improved. They're just nice. Usually they're made better. They also made straps, though. Stellux made straps and all kinds of things. They were a company founded by this some English dude in Hong Kong. I'm actually Facebook friends with him, if you believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. They got on board with Seiko because they were in Hong Kong and they got the contacts, and so they made the higher end luxury bracelets for Seiko.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you piss off my cat?
I was going over this on her. I can't help it. Now she's really mad.
Glaring.
From CT Davis. Yep, saying it wrong. I used to drive a Giugiaro. I don't know how to pronounce it now.
I don't either. I say
Design
Giugiaro,
car.
and no one has told me I'm wrong.
Wow. Well, I trust this dude if he had the car.
Yep.
Okay. Junkyard Paradise. Where can I buy these watches? On our website.
KleinVintageWatch.com. Watches for sale is the subheading.
Owen McCord, 40 seconds in, and it's already the most Midwest watch video I've ever seen.
I'd love to know what specific qualities were like giving you that vibe. Well, I mean, here's the thing. We're Colorado. We're on the Front Range. So we don't really think of ourselves as Midwest.
Well,
but
no, we're not. We're the mountain states. We're not the Midwest.
We're the mountain states. Well, whatever. I hope that it was positive, whatever
But
we did.
the thing is, I'm from New York. I'm not from the Midwest. So what did I do to make me seem
Well,
Midwesty?
well, you're a farm girl.
Yeah. Okay, but the solar watch. See Mitt, well past the water test. Love to see more of that quartz pocket watch.
Oh yeah, he's talking about that watch
Yeah,
right
this
there.
one that's looking at me.
Yeah, the quartz pocket watch is cool. That's that.
Well, that was the.
Well, this is the one that stayed outside for 3 months because I forgot it was out there. It did great. We did 100% great because I rebuilt it completely. It has all new seals and all this stuff, but it's solar and it was running out of power, and it can't really, the lights inside the house during the day, it's not enough to really keep it fully charged. So I put it in the sun for a couple hours in the afternoon, and 3 months later, it was perfectly fine. It didn't even look dusty, and it was in snowbanks and rain. Oh my God, yeah, it was sub-freezing temperatures. It was like 15 below. And this thing was just out there taking it. All the dust is getting to my nose.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, it's not your fault.
Well, I know it's not. Bruce Barlow.
Oh, wait.
What?
Wasn't there a second part to his question?
Oh, love to see more of that quartz pocket watch.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually need to service it. It's never been serviced. It's a 7559 movement, which is like the same as like the big quartz tunas, golden tunas and stuff. But it just doesn't have the date feature. I do need to service it, so when I do, I'll put up a video.
Hold on. Okay. From Bruce Barlow, Spencer's COSC Metas testing regime. If it passes, you get the watch back in one piece. Had one of these, but a non-solar version, also in NOS condition. Great watch.
Yeah, he's talking about that solar thing again. Frankly, I don't want to sound like I didn't have faith in Seiko's excellent case design, but I cannot believe that a clamshell case LCD watch that I put new seals in and cleaned completely was nevertheless able to be completely watertight. Honestly, I'm blown away.
Wow. Well, the seals probably helped. Speedy Paul, great stuff. Having looked closely, is it not 1 minute 16 seconds fast? Still good, not complaining.
Oh, it's just because how long I had, whether that thing had gained or lost time. The problem is we were timing it against an analog clock, and the position of the they were to the second, they were correct, but the display was a little wonky.
Okay. Now about your new favoritist watch. All those 1,000 videos and then the one put together video.
Are you talking about the Osaka Navigator?
Yes, but I made you say that because I forgot I knew what it had, where it came from, but I couldn't remember the word. So
It's inside. I don't know if I need to get it, but
I don't know. I told you to look at the questions.
well, no, I had other pressing real world things to do. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
Anyway, so he
Oh wait.
made.
Well, let me explain really quick if you have no idea what we're talking about. If you look at my channel, I appear to have discovered a previously unknown model of the Seiko 6117 Navigator line, 6117 6420. It was not recognized as a genuine model. Looks like very, very few were made. Less than the numbers that I see, 500 maybe. They were not sold retail. They were something that apparently appears to most likely be associated with the 1970 World's Fair, which was in Osaka. And we're theorizing now that they were an internal order by Seiko for gifts to staff and other people around. Their production was timed to coincide with the end of the fair. There.
Okay, and so these questions are all he was super excited, and instead of, he didn't, and he was tired, so rather than like combine the video he would just keep adding the individual videos, and then there's the whole video, so the questions might be kind of.
Well, I have an idea.
What?
This is general mail call. Why don't we just do general mail call, and then let's do another video that's that mail call. If you have a ton of questions for about the Osaka Navigator.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do you want me to keep doing the other ones? Like,
You know what we could do is also just pause. Why don't we pause? Let's go get a snack. I'll grab the watch. We'll come back. We'll stop. We'll start it, and then we'll just make it a part 1 and part 2.
okay.
Does that work? Okay,
Yep.
that's what we'll do.
Hi.
Hello.
He doesn't remember.
No, you and I had completely different ideas about what was happening. My understanding was that all the subsequent questions were going to refer to the Osaka Navigator. But you're telling me now that that's not the case.
Well, no, I thought that you said, what? That we were going to do regular mail call stuff.
I thought that was regular mail call, and
There's
now we're on to
more.
Then why do we?
That's where the
That's why I was talking about
disconnect
having a break. Okay, so we're back to regular questions.
There's so many questions. Okay, hang on. Where was I? I was on this one. The 63097049 from John Langlois. I have to say thank you. I found your channel 4 years ago when my dad gave me his 7049. I tried to find someone local to restore it with no success. It was in the same condition as the one in the video, relatively, without the original strap. You inspired me to learn and restore it. I only replaced the case back and stem seal. Everything else I wisely left original. It was never serviced. I can remember the smell of Japanese factory when I first opened it, no joke. I actually just started wearing it again after Christmas as my wife got me a GL831 to finally finish it. I just wanted to publicly say again, thank you. Your passion for this niche segment of horology has inspired me to take on a satisfying journey that will see my father's watch span 3 generations when I eventually give it to my son.
Yeah, that's great. That's great, man. You know, it's wonderful getting your hands on this stuff because then you feel like you have a real personal stake in getting it done. It's one of the greatest things about being able to do this kind of work, you know, and so that's great. Absolutely, man. 100% rock on.
Okay. Then from Jeff117, damn, that didn't last long. I was considering it. I thought too long on this one. I'm waiting for the Osaka watch going up for sale. It's gonna be a long, if ever, gonna be a while. I just thought that was funny.
It's just crazy about this thing. It's like, well, maybe I should save this for when we're doing all the Osaka questions.
I
Apparently,
yes.
All right.
It's because I have things like in order of the video. So like this one says 6105 and then I have things there and I got it from that video.
I understand she's sleeping on her foot.
Well.
Anyway.
Okay, now
let's do it.
About the 6105 from the Blair Watch Project. Good luck with the sale, Spencer. I love the engraving on this one. Engraved watches have an extra significance in my mind, a backstory, some pun intended. Hope you guys are doing well. Have you written back to him yet?
I haven't written back to anybody. You should see my inbox.
I do.
Right, excellent. So you understand my problems. No, I'm sorry, Daniel. I haven't looked back. I haven't seen that.
Anyway, do you have anything particular to say about the watch?
Well, nothing. I mean, because I already talked about my feelings about caseback, dedications or inscriptions.
He serviced it.
I know he did. Well, as I said in the video, I would feel perfectly comfortable with Daniel servicing one of my watches. He and I are completely simpatico. We understand each other. I've seen his work before. So what I saw when I had this thing apart to work on the dial, I looked at the movement, not, again, to inspect anything that he was doing, but simply as a matter of habit and courtesy. I mean, the movement's out. Might as well look at it. So I looked it over. I checked the things. I looked at the numbers. I let it spin. As I was working on the dial, I had it on the time grapher, and I worked on that dial better part of a day. And so I sat there and watched the numbers, and at the end of the day, I was like, absolutely fine, no problems here whatsoever. And so I put it all back together, and here we are. I actually considered keeping this. I still thought about it. But, it's a business, and I already have two. I was like, oh, I could have a third one for, the third one for Sebastian, because I've only got one each for the girls. But, it's not why we picked it up. We picked it up to move it and get it going. I do love these, though.
Okay, next one.
Huh? Oh.
The moon phase watch. Yankee Express. My dad has worn one of these model Seiko for decades. Now he wears a G-Shock. Like a true dad.
Well, fit for the job, right? Mm-hmm. I own a G-Shock. Cost me $49.99.
From Speedy Paul. Hi, Spencer. If the main chronograph hand is sticky, i.e. just swaying back and forth, can you reset it, or is this service time probably dry lubricants? I didn't know you could reset the sub-dial hand positions. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's one of those things if you want to reset it. With the 7A, dust. I'm not cold. I don't have a cold. It's dust. With the 7A, when you start seeing like any one of the chronograph registers, but mainly the main one, if it starts to hang up or it's shivering like this, it's then the movement needs a service. Because the main train is getting all sticky. And the way quartz watches work is they drive backwards from how we think. The stepper motor drives the sweep seconds hand, and then by the magic of leverage, that thing pushes the entire gear train, and the whole thing goes like that. It's extremely exciting stuff.
Okay. Sven Dubois. Hello, Spencer and Sabrina. As always, I enjoy your videos. I have a question for next question time. I am cleaning up a 0923 movement, but the seconds hand is unable to tick to the next second. You can see the hand twitching every second. The coil looks like it is in perfect condition. I haven't yet dived in deeper. Are there obvious signs to look for considering the symptoms?
Your main sweep is stuck. It's for the same thing like the 7A. The main sweep is stuck. You could, when those were made, Seiko was using synthetic lube. All you really need to do is, I'm trying to think of things that I would do, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to tell him to do that, because I don't want him to jack his watch up. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll say, okay, that wheel and pinion that the sweep hand sits on, I'll just go in and I'll just see if I can just get it to move. And so if I can get it to move, maybe we can start getting it to tick. If it won't do that, then it really, really needs service, or something's loose and it's jammed into the gearing. And when I say move, what I do is, because it's trying to move forward, is I'll just move it back a second. Just move it back a second. See if there is something there, if it'll release it. But if it's not driving there, it just needs the service. But it's alive because it's trying to tick.
I love this screen name. Supreme Galactic Commander. I have the same watch and agree it's special. Unfortunately, just recently the chronograph minute hand stopped working properly, replaced the battery. It seemed to resolve, but now I am having the same problem, and the chronograph second hand joined the party.
Yeah, the lubricants have dried up. Whatever ghost they had, they finally gave up. And so the trains are good. You're seeing the twitching and stuff. That means the trains are good. Just means they're dirty and it needs a service. That's really long and the short of it. You service it and it'll run for the rest of time itself.
Seiko 101 to 6309 from Bruce Barlow. Spencer, one other thing I've noticed about the earlier and later movements is the color change of the plastic movement parts from whitish to greenish, and the early ones, which the larger crown cut out, also sometimes have the larger splined crown as used on the 6306s.
Yeah, the early cases, there were two different kinds of crowns. The splines, like the cutting on them, you can't really see through this plastic, but they're sort of the grippy things. And they are, the early ones, they were sort of big knurled. They have this big, they look like a 62 MAS crown, actually. But then they made the crown finer. I'm not sure why. Maybe it was easier to, instead of having to machine it out, they could roll it on. I don't know. But yeah, I associate early with big crown cutout and the large knurled crown. I don't see large knurled crowns too much anymore. Well, it's just used to see all this stuff all the time. And now it just starts to get thin on the ground.
Really? Okay, now these are the questions and comments from last mail call. How long ago? 2 or 3
Wait,
weeks?
so we're really fully doing 2 full mail calls?
What?
Wow. Okay.
We don't have to. I can stop right now.
No, it's fine.
Okay. When I get bored, then.
Well, I mean, at some point we are going to have to talk about.
I know. Okay. You know, maybe I won't do that. Why don't we just talk about I'm sorry, it's the Rallygator.
No. I have to explain that. It is the Rallygator. This Rallygator is this watch. The Osaka Navigator is the brand or the model. Mine is the Rallygator.
Oh.
It wasn't like that
gotcha.
originally. I was thinking, because I didn't know where the watch came from. I didn't know why it was made or where it was made or to what reason. So it didn't have a name or any greater significance. It was just a watch. And I'm like, well, what does it look like? I'm like, well, it looks like a rally watch and it's a rally navigator. So, Rallygator. We'll find enough for a watch with an unknown history. But then, like 2 days later, we figured out that it's most likely.
Well, we didn't figure it
No,
out.
no. I mean, we in the sense of myself and Adrian Selgan. There was other gentlemen, other people on Instagram especially, that were poking and looking, and based on when it was made and other details like where the pieces ended up, which was all over the globe, that we had to conclude that it was pretty likely that it was associated with the 1970 World's Fair, which I didn't even know was a thing until last week. I'd never heard of it. So much for knowledge Japanese culture here, huh? I don't know. Who thinks about Japan in 1970?
You work with things from Japan that were made in 1970.
It's true.
Okay.
I have a theory, by the way, about that dial pattern. I have a theory. I'm wondering, is if you took imagine those orange flashes there, that instead of just being the little orange flashes, they were in fact the base of a stripe running outwards from a round circle. I think it would look a lot like the rising sun. And the theme of the fair, I mean, it was basically Japan's post-war coming out. It was them sort of showing off to the world, that they were back. And the main feature of the fair was the Tower of the Sun. It's still there, by the way. They have a virtual museum. You can see it online. But I don't know. I wonder, and I'm like, I wonder if this is the case, if that was like a, subtle nod to the past, and the rising future, and all that stuff.
I have no idea, but you got House of the Rising Sun in my head.
Well, remember we were talking about this, and you were like, I can see it.
I can see it, but I just heard that, and then my brain went there. Okay, now we're talking about that. And, like I was trying to say, this is from many videos. It might not make sense.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Anyway, Sidewalk Astronomy Netherlands. So is there a second part to this story?
Oh, yeah, there was, and he saw it. I put up the whole video.
I just thought it was funny. Okay, from Jeff117. I was going to say it looks completely identical. Did they do a city ring for that watch? I would prefer the 12-hour ring personally. I would like to have both if I could find both in original condition. You be the guy I trust when it comes to finding the actual research on originality for sure. The watches I've bought from you have been exquisite pieces.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, he has another comment to make. On a different watch, but same note of originality, I had someone question the authenticity of the notch case proof Speedy I bought from you. They were stating that it was a completely aftermarket parts watch. Then I had a PM that was asking the price I paid for it. I didn't disclose the price, I just gave a ballpark figure, and he seemed convinced after I told him who I bought it from. I don't care, to be honest, as I don't sell my pieces ever. I am truly proud of my acquisition and I happily wear them. For anyone that buys from you and are like-minded as I am, know that the watches you sell are genuine and are exactly what you say they are. 100% quality, servicing and fully operational. These are, after all, 20 to 60-year-old pieces and show their age very well.
That's a very, very nice thing to hear. Thank you for taking the time to write that. I sincerely appreciate that. I don't think anyone's given me such a blast of effusive praise.
Well, and I like it being the example of, an armchair, whatever the frig, I know everything. And
Yeah.
it got proved completely wrong.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But anyway, thank you very much.
And he had a question. The rotating bezel, possibly for multiple time zones along with the 24-hour dial?
That's all I can think. I don't know why they went effectively 1 through 12. I don't know why they did, but they did. We did find, or it was found, again, a gentleman on Instagram, and I'm not being cagey for any other reason. I literally don't remember which one of them they is. No, there were like 3 or 4 guys where everybody's digging around. But this information, I do know where it came from. Adrian Selleck, Vintage Time Australia, because I was at the point I was like, this thing's absolutely correct. And with the data we had, I didn't have any doubt whatsoever. The model number is in the Jules Burrell database, which I knew that, so clearly it was a real model. Jules Burrell had an entry for it. Adrian found the entry for the 6117s in the relevant year casing guide. So it had all the different navigators. And there was 6117, 6420, and the part number for the dial was unique. And all the other models were there. That part number for that dial was specific to this watch. So,
like 12 years of people saying it's fake. What made you grab that watch anyway? You were like, I want to build this?
no, I mean, the last year was really frustrating. And, with all the stuff that was going on and all the mood stuff, and I was just so, burned out on watches and nothing was exciting. And so I was like, maybe I need to start thinking about different stuff. Maybe I need to look at what I've got here and, really kind of get into something. And then, I had this watch, my 6117 8000 Navigator, which had been fighting me for years. I finally got it. And that was exciting. And then I started, actually, I'm sorry, I got it backwards. It started because I decided on a whim to resurrect a 6217 7000 world time from 1964, from, I think, September 1964. Hideously beaten. And I've almost completely restored it. The dial doesn't look so great, but the dial didn't look great before. I don't have a bezel for it. But anyway, I couldn't finish the watch. So I'm like, I didn't get my world time fix. So I pulled up my stuff, all my world time stuff, and I was going through things and rebuilding. I rebuilt a couple of them, and I looked at how they worked and really was trying to figure out how the overlap went, because the 6200s and the 6100s are kind of kin movements in certain ways. But I'm going through, and I find this in pieces, because that's how I got it. And in the voice in my head said, oh yeah, that's fake. I haven't looked at it a really long time. I'm more, and I'm not saying this snarky, I literally, there are things that I know now that I did not know then. And I had also just spent a whole bunch of time looking at these, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this is original. This is real. This is Seiko. But I wasn't 100% sure until I turned the dial over and I saw that the dial was dated. It was a dated dial. I was like, and it was 07, and I'm like, and I looked at the caseback, and it was 07, and I'm like, all doubt vanished at that second. I had no doubt whatsoever at that point that it was completely, entirely original. I don't know why they went with 12 and 24 for this calculator ring, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. You could figure out something for it. I'm sure somebody does. I think it's just a unique thing. A new Navigator. On with you.
From James Duffy. What a wonderful mystery. I wonder if there are PDF scans of regional catalogs out there, particularly the supplemental and pamphlets, where Seiko seems to have more oddball stuff that is not in their regular printed catalog.
I don't know. It'd be good to find if we could. If my theory is correct about it being a special limited edition produced for the end of the fair, I don't know that it would be in any brochures. Would Seiko have done that? I want to find a picture. What does the Seiko pavilion or display look like? What Seiko was there?
Yeah, are there any like pictures from the... Did he say going to California?
He said, "Don't portal out of here." I don't know what he said.
Anyway, what I was going to say is there has to be some photos from the World's Fair, like that people took. There has to be some online somewhere, and then you could look at the watches people are wearing and stuff.
You would think Seiko would have a huge amount of documentation for it. It was the first World's Fair in Japan. Is there anything in the Seiko? I haven't looked in the virtual Seiko museum, assuming there is one. There must be pictures. There has to be pictures of the Seiko display or the Seiko area. There have to be. Whether they're, I don't know where they are, but I was considering starting to do stuff like, looking on image hosting sites like Flickr or something else like that, Imgur, and see if, anything related to the Expo 70. So I don't know.
All right. From Sven Dupoitz. Hi, Spencer. I'm amazed how easily this watch was dismissed as not genuine. There was really no substantial evidence for that conclusion. Only a few of the Seiko veterans that did not know of it and therefore decided it does not exist. The hubris and arrogance, certainly considering they had never seen or handled one in real life. Textbook armchair diagnosis.
Yeah, I try, and then another gentleman friend over at Instagram did some digging and found the earliest online reference to the piece that we have found so far, and it was one of these. It was a guy. It was 2009, and it was a guy who had found one. Where'd I put it? Any case, there was a guy who had found one of them. It's got to be somewhere. Is it in my lap? Did I drop it?
You had to get up to go.
So I put it down inside. It's on the watch bench.
You should go get it. Sorry, I would, but I have a cat on me. Oh, it's in your pocket?
Nope, I got it right here. What were you saying?
Armchair diagnosis.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. At the time, mod watches were freely available. I mean, all kinds of crazy watch modding parts, especially for like 7002s and stuff. It was all pretty garish, and it happened a lot. And so the natural inclination would have been to say, oh, it's a fake. The problem is that initial judgment, which was based on 2 photographs and probably a near instantaneous decision, became the basis for a cycle of self-referment whereby anytime anybody would Google one of these because they were so rare, that's the only thing that would come up, which means anybody looking at it up would be told that theirs was fake. What should have happened is more pictures should have been requested. Basically, the guy who found it should have been taken seriously, and he wasn't taken seriously at all. And the mod in question appeared to be pretty satisfied with being able to put this guy in his place and tell him what was going on. I had the advantage of actually seeing it. I have the advantage of knowing how long it's been with me. It's a really long time. I've seen a lot of fake parts in my life. And I looked at it, and I had to start overriding myself and what I knew because of this post. And it took me a second to realize. It really took me a second to turn my brain around to realize that it was genuine. But it's just unfortunate. So I talk about this a lot too because I want to drown out that old information, that old baseless factless information that this is not a real model. So I want to talk about the model a lot.
Okay, well, we've got more questions.
Go ahead.
Aaron Costello, big debate on these at the old Seiko and Citizen Watch Forum 20 years ago. Most forumers said they were fakes. I said they were very real. I probably haven't even seen one in 15 years.
The last one you saw was probably this one, because it was at the old forum, and it was traded around a few times, passed around a few times. But yeah, that's probably the one that you saw. You know, looking back 2008 online, I think we found 6. Now, one did just show up like a month ago in Italy, and it was just sold. It was sold like 3 days before I made this discovery.
I thought it was 2 weeks.
Was it 2 weeks? Oh, it had sold 2 weeks previously.
Yes.
Ah, you're right. That's the way it was. What terrible timing, though. I feel awful.
Well, no.
Hopefully, you know. Yeah, you were right. This, by the way, people, this is CobraJet 25. He is one of the old guys, but he's one of the old guys. He was, I don't know, he's a cheerful dude, and we've always talked and hung out virtually. So yeah, thank you, Aaron. I really appreciate that. I just can't believe it. Really, it's just wild. This, for those of you who don't know, this would be like the equivalent of finding another 6105 diver model that people didn't know existed. It's not quite that level of hugeness, but it's pretty huge. Okay.
Okay. Speedy Paul, I have absolutely no doubt either, Spencer. Can we assume there must be a 1970 Seiko catalog out there with, a picture of this model? Maybe not. Assume you checked. You most likely have source material better than most.
Nothing for this.
I have no idea how the outer dial ring works with the inner either. It's such a cool watch. Love the orange and love it on that bracelet. The end link is perfect. I just checked the Seiko Guy website, found the catalog for 1970 volume 1 and 2, no further volumes. There isn't even a Navigator model in it of any kind, and can we assume this was out before more common Navigator models, assuming they then came out in 1971? Just weird.
Oh, it's right in the middle of the Navigators. This is actually like the first year they were produced. I don't know. It was a new watch style, and they must thought it was cool. But yeah, the Navigator's been produced for a while by this point. I don't know, man. We're just going to have to keep looking. The thing to find now, I swear, are Seiko's photographs of their display or pavilion or whatever the heck it is. We'll see. But what that would do is if we found that and you could see this and you could see it in a black and white picture, because of the simplicity of the dial, you would be able to see that ring and you'd know. And then that would just confirm it. Unless, of course, this was internal only and they weren't sold. But who knows? Although, you know what? I wonder. Well, because the known examples we have are all over the globe. Mm-hmm. You know, here in Sweden and Italy and Venezuela or wherever that other one was.
Mm-hmm. It's Costa Rica.
Costa Rica? Was it Costa Rica?
I don't know.
People coming to the fair and buying their watches and coming home? I don't know.
Okay, last one. Gareth Brennan, I'd like to coin a new phrase, the Spencer tax. It refers to the occasions when Spencer suddenly makes a particular watch cool and desirable, prices rise, and it becomes super rare.
You know, it's crazy. That didn't work for that beautiful 6306 with the cornflower blue dial and the white stripe hands, the JDM with the kanji English day wheel. That freaking thing is beautiful. And people were like, I don't know why. It just didn't grab other people's imaginations. Beautiful, beautiful watch. Beautiful watch. But then so is this.
Yeah, and that is a little different from that cornflower blue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that this is actually part of one of these known big families, you know, 6105 divers, 6309, 6117, World Time / Navigator.
Of all people to wind up with that.
It is really weird, isn't it? But the weirder part is it was in my collection for like 12 years. And I never thought about it because I blindly believed what other people told me. Now I'm looking at it now and I'm like, how could I have ever... I just didn't put I just did put 2 and 3 together. It's true.
Okay, we're done. I'm hungry.
Oh, we are done?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Okay, good. Well, then I think we're done. I'll have more videos about this. If anybody feels like doing any legwork, if you can find any photographs of the Expo 70 in Osaka, find any way or know somebody who lives in Japan who can navigate Japanese websites, know somebody who's inside Seiko. In fact, I could write them and say, do you have photographs, a photographic archive of your stuff at Expo 70?
Now 1 million people are going to email them. They're going to go, what the hell?
Well, maybe that'll kick somebody to go dig around, and see if they can find something. Because if I'm right, and based on the numbers that we're getting, we have 6 serial numbers, they're all in a space of range that would be just about 500 based on the spacing of the gaps. The divisions between each example is tiny, tens of spots, 9 or 21 or something like that. That's extremely, extremely tight. I have a few times, probably 3 times, I've gotten 2 models with a really close serial number. Usually I think the closest I ever got was 50 away.
Yeah, I remember that.
2 of these models, the separation is 9 units. 9 units, and then 20 units, and then 44 units, and then 60, something like that. Like an incredibly tight grouping of existing serial numbers for a watch model that no one even knew about. So my personal belief is that it was a limited edition, produced internally by Seiko, timed to match the end of the fair, to be given out as gifts to, staff and people that helped, or special guests, executives, and that was it. And then people took them home. Most of the ones that are found of this incredibly rare model are in really nice condition. I mean, they're nice, which tells me, but they still had them, which tells me that they kept them. They didn't really wear them as much, but they valued them enough to keep them. I don't know. We're going to find out more stuff. I guarantee it. We're going to find more stuff. We're going to find out what this thing looked like, and we're going to find out everything about it. But right now, only six numbers are known. And the 6th number is kind of weird.
What?
Well, because 5 of the 6 numbers are within a few...
Oh, right. And the other one's from 71.
Yeah, there's 5 of the 6, and they're all identical. The one from Costa Rica, from South America, wherever it is, that's the only one that's beaten. Like somebody wore the heck out of that watch. But it's from a different batch. Maybe it could have been a service case back. I'd have to see the watch. I would have to see it and see the date inside the dial. I don't know if they would custom make service case backs. That's the only thing I can think. Because other than that, they would have run a second batch of them in April 71, which I don't know how that goes. But you know what? We're going to find out. We're all going to find out. Cool. All right. Thanks, folks.
Bye.
Bye.